and we got taken over and occupied via blackmail. We're talking about the Rockefellers. And now you're kind of thinking in your head, the Rockefellers, don't I kind of remember that they were the ones that published all of our education books? Well, imagine if you wanted to blackmail a nation. And now I'm speculating, guys, we're going to get into the story here. What better way than to do it through another family, right? Like if you could figure out how to blackmail the Rockefellers, then people would go, oh, I understand power structures, and the Rockefellers are publishing all these books, making us all dumb via the Department of Education. We're just being lied to about everything. But what if they were not the people that were really publishing those books? I'm asking questions. I know you're not allowed to ask questions. The neocons say we can't ask questions, but I'm not going to stop asking questions, you guys. I'm like terminal. I'm terminally ill with asking questions, okay? Anyways, let's get into the story. So he is saying that what happened, and this is just a little bit about him, it was a year after I became famous. Again, this is the writer of this article is John Loftus. It was a year after I became famous. In 1982, I had been the subject of a double segment on the 60 Minutes news show. It won the Emmy Award for Outstanding Investigative Journalism. As a former federal prosecutor at the Justice Department, so that's who John Loftus is, by the way, a former federal prosecutor at the Justice Department, I exposed Nazi war criminals who had been hired by some U.S. and NATO intelligence agencies. Like I've said to you, we said all this stuff about Nazis, but then we just hired them and brought them over. Operation Paperclip, it's all crazy. We're lied to about everything. For a few months, I was a two-bit celebrity, and then it was all forgotten. The next year, I worked at a law firm in Brockton, Massachusetts. I received a phone call inviting me to have lunch with an important Israeli scholar. Someone from the Israeli consulate would drive him down from Boston and accompany him. We met at a restaurant in Brockton. He was a charming older man, bald spot on top, white hair on the sides, and sharp as a tack. We got along well. And then he came to the purpose of his visit. What did I know about the UN vote on the partition of Palestine? He's talking about Reuven Shiloah, okay? So Reuven Shiloah pays him a visit in 1982, and he wants to speak to him about the UN vote on the partition of Palestine. So he's learning this directly from the founder of the Mossad, Reuven Shiloah. And this is the reason why, flash forward years later, to 2021, whenever this was publicized, maybe it was a couple of years before then, Reuven's son is now coming to him and being like, what'd you know about my daddy, the founder of the Mossad? Okay, let's just jump back into this narrative, okay? So here is the story that he learned from Reuven Shiloah, the founder of the Mossad. He writes, as readers of my column know, before World War II, Allen Dulles and his brother, John Foster Dulles, like the Dulles Airport, set up a series of front companies to disguise the fact that their client, Nelson Rockefeller, had invested heavily in the Third Reich industrial complex and was supplying Hitler with oil. Okay, I didn't know that until I read this article, but apparently the Rockefellers, all they cared about was oil and money, and they figured out, let's hire the best lawyers in the biz, the Dulles brothers, to hide all of these transactions that allow us to supply Adolf Hitler with oil. Prescott Bush, the father of future President George Herbert Walker Bush, did as he was told and agreed to become the American fall guy, sitting on the boards of half a dozen Nazi front companies as a placeholder for Rockefeller. So now this brings in the Bush family, another neocon dynasty. Okay, the Bushes are now involved in this. He was told to sit on the board of all of these front companies. In reality, they're just moving oil to Adolf Hitler. This is crazy. This is all crazy. What happens next? What does Reuven Shiloah tell this guy? Okay. Prescott Bush had nothing to fear sitting on the board of all these companies. Why? The Dulles brothers were the best lawyers in the world at hiding illegal investments, or so they thought. You see, their sister, Eleanor Dulles, knew all of her brother's dirty secrets, okay? Eleanor, it's always a woman. Eleanor was the family scandal. Look at her. Okay, Eleanor Dulles.